Update here about some kind of breaking news. So normally the shows are Mondays and Fridays, and you can find us on all the major streaming platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, etc. And then on YouTube, and then also simulcasting to Rumble, though I've got new software now, so I may need to make adjustments to that. If you're seeing that now, this is a little bit of a change from the old show. I was having problems with the old software, and hopefully this is going to be something new with, it seems like, more kind of widgets and more opportunities here. So let's get right into the show, right into this segment anyway, I should say. So 3 UFOs at this point have been shot down. Now, when I say UFOs, I can't confirm that aliens have been shot down at this point. We're using UFOs in the literal sense, which is unidentified flying objects. They have not identified them. I don't even know if they can identify them, which is odd. You know, if we're shooting down alien probes or something else that we're getting here, the one over Alaska was like the size of a car. There's another one over Canada. And now the Chinese have run into one in their own airspace as well, which is an interesting brand new development here because, we had the Chinese balloon. We all know about that. And you just figure, all right, this is some new kind of weird crap that China is sending out. But now China's got some in their airspace as well, allegedly, with a new story coming up. So let's get into these real quick. We'll go over the first one. The U.S. says it shot down a car-sized UFO over Alaska. A U.S. F-22 fighter jets on Friday shot down an unidentified object flying over Alaska. U.S. officials said that less than a week after the military brought down a Chinese balloon that had flown across the United States. A Sidewinder missile brought down the object, which is about the size of a small car, U.S. Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, the Pentagon's chief spokesman, said. President Dementia Joe ordered the shoot-down, which was announced in the White House. Rare presidential-level involvement, given initial accounts suggesting the object did not pose a military threat and was fairly rudimentary. On February 4th, another F-22 fighter jet shot down what the U.S. government called a Chinese surveillance balloon off the coast of South Carolina, following its week-long journey across the United States and portions of Canada. The Republicans and even some of Biden's fellow Democrats criticized the president for waiting before he acted against the first balloon. The incident set off a diplomatic crisis between the world's 2 largest economies and caused the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to cancel a planned trip to Beijing. The Pentagon and the White House declined to have a detailed description of the latest object to be shot down, saying only that it was far smaller than the Chinese balloon. The Pentagon said this object was flying at about 40,000 feet, and was posing a risk to civilian aircraft. I think they said it was going about 40 miles an hour as well. We don't know who owns the object, said White House spokesperson John Kirby. The object was shot down over... After the White House rare individual volumes. This fucking thing is jumping all over the place. Shot down, the U.S. government calls China's surveillance off the coast of South Carolina for last week-long journey. The Pentagon and the White House declined to give a detailed description of the latest object to be shot down. Pentagon said it was flying about 40,000 feet. We don't know who the object belongs to. The object was shot down over the far northeastern part of Alaska near the Canadian border, where it had been traveling in a northeasterly direction. The Pentagon said it was first detected on February 9th using ground radars. Fighter jets were then sent to investigate further. Ryder said American pilots who flew alongside it determined that no human was aboard. He added it was incapable of maneuvering and did not resemble an airplane. Ryder and the other officials would not say whether it could simply be a weather balloon or another type of balloon. That's interesting. It wasn't an aircraft per se, Ryder told a news briefing. The F-22 shot the object down at 1:45. Asked why Biden's authorization was necessary, Ryder acknowledged that the U.S. military commander overseeing North American airspace had the authority to shoot down objects that posed a military risk or risk to the American people. In this particular case, it was determined that this posed a reasonable threat to air traffic, Ryder said. So, that's the first one. That was over Alaska. The second one now is another cylindrical object over Canada, which I've seen some pictures floating around that people suggest it looks like the Tic Tac that the Navy ran into, and our fighters tried to chase down and weren't able to get it, and then it disappeared into the ocean. There was stuff like that floating around about it. I don't know if that's accurate, if people made those up, or if it was a description from somebody who's in the know of the situation. But the U.S. shoots down an unidentified cylindrical object over Canada. A U.S. F-22 fighter jet, they were given permission to go in Canadian airspace. F-22 fighter jet shot down an unidentified cylindrical object over Canada on Saturday, the second such instance in as many days, as North America appeared on edge following a week-long Chinese spying balloon saga that drew the global spotlight. Separately, the U.S. military also scrambled fighter jets in Montana to investigate a radar anomaly. This is also a new one. Fighter jets in Montana to investigate a radar anomaly that triggered a brief federal closure of airspace. Those aircraft did not identify any object to correlate the radar hits, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, said in the statement. Canadian Prime Minister, the Communist Justin Trudeau, first announced Saturday's shootdown over the northern Yukon Territory, saying Canadian forces would recover and analyze the wreckage. Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand declined to speculate about the origin of the object, which she said was cylindrical in shape. So, the latest update here, our teams are searching the Yukon for the UFO debris. Biden allows bipartisan progress as he dines with governors. Okay, this other stuff isn't related to the UFO thing, so I'm going to move on. She stopped short of calling it a balloon, but said it was smaller than the Chinese balloon shot down off South Carolina's coast a week ago, though similar in appearance. Aloft at 40,000 feet, it posed a risk to civilian air traffic and was shot down at 3:41. So this one was also flying at 40,000 feet? There is no reason to believe that the impact of the object in Canadian territory is any public concern, eh? Anand told a news conference, "We shot it down, now we're looking for it, eh? Tough time. Sorry we had to shoot your balloon down. Sorry." All right, so the last one here is the most recent update that I got earlier this morning. It says now China has spotted a UFO as well. Chinese authorities, let's get rid of this shit. Chinese authorities are reportedly preparing to shoot down an unidentified flying object spotted in the skies near the eastern Shandong province. Maritime authorities announced on Sunday that the object was spotted near the city in Rizhao, according to the state-run Global Times newspaper. The newspaper said authorities were preparing to shoot the object down and were urging fishermen in the vicinity to be safe. It comes after U.S. F-22 fighter jets shot down 3 objects in the airspace above the U.S. and Canada this month. So here's a post from a Twitter post from the Chinese authorities, and that's gibberish for all of us that aren't in the know. Authorities said that one was shot down off the South Carolina coast on February 4th, was a spy balloon from China. The balloon was equipped to detect and collect intelligence signals and was part of a larger Chinese surveillance program that has been operational for several years, U.S. officials said. That's one of the major stories we've been talking about last week. But Beijing has insisted it was a civilian airship collecting meteorological data that had accidentally blown off course. Sure it was. On Friday, an object roughly the size of a small car was shot out of the skies above remote Alaska, so this Friday. Officials could not say where that object came from or what purpose it had, but White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said it was shot down because it was flying at, again, 40,000 feet like the Canadian one and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flights. U.S. Northern Command said recovery operations for the wreckage are continuing on sea ice near Dead Horse, Alaska. Then on Saturday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said a U.S. fighter jet had shot down an unidentified object that was flying high over the Yukon in northwest Canada. So we're just kind of, and that's one of the F-22s that were used to, these are like 5th-gen fighters, the most advanced stuff to shoot these down. It's interesting that they're using those as opposed to an F-16 or an F-18. Every one of these responses has been F-22s. And I'm wondering, are they... I don't know the specs on all of these. Maybe some others that are watching right now know some of the specs and can comment. But are they EMP shielded? Do they have extra, equipment on there that the older planes don't have? That they're safer to operate depending on what it is they're coming up against. I find that interesting that it's been nothing but F-22s, or that based on their location, they were the fastest airplane to get there. Anything else would take longer to intercept these objects. One of the two, but anyone that's following, like, comment, and subscribe, please, if you enjoy the show. We're going to have our normal show tomorrow morning, and we'll see if there's some more updates on what these things are that they've shot down. They're not saying right now, which is odd. Some people have guessed that if it's more Chinese equipment that they don't want to come right out and say it because it'll make relations even worse with China, because it already set China off when they came right out and said it was a Chinese balloon and it was spy equipment. And of course, that pissed the Chinese off and embarrassed them. So that's pushing us further towards a situation. And now you have these 2 or 3 other objects, Alaska, Canada, but then interestingly enough, in China's own airspace. So North America flying over Alaska. So this is just reiterating everything here. So, what does everyone think? You think maybe these are Tic Tacs? I mean, normally they're way faster than anything that we have. So it would be odd that they were just kind of lackadaisically kind of looking around and we got the jump on them. Or do you believe this is some more equipment from other countries and this whole balloon spying thing, or whatever the hell it's taking to, that using like low-tech solutions in a high-tech environment? And so these countries are just sending frickin' balloons all over the place to spy on each other? Or do you think maybe this was just a weird incident where the circumstances all came together and they were actually able to shoot down alien tech? I'm curious to see what everyone thinks about it. More information is going to come out, and we're going to find out what it is and what these UFOs are. So stay tuned to the show. We'll be doing more updates on YouTube whenever I can, and then the regular show Mondays and Fridays. And please support the show. I don't have enough listeners for or subscribers for like Super Chat and all that stuff to get money, but on my Buzzsprout page for the Relief Valve podcast, there is a way to support the show. I pay for everything out of pocket currently right now, and just, I do the show for free. So any donations to tip your messenger, as some people have on their pages, any support is greatly appreciated. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll see you for tomorrow's show and some updates on the UFOs and what it is we're dealing with. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.